Shalom. This is to all Israelite groups and all Israelite communities and all breakoffs from One West and breakoffs from breakoffs from breakoffs from breakoffs. No matter what rainbow uniform you wear, red, white, purple and white, all white, it don't matter. You should all treat the ISUPK like your weird, misunderstood Sabbaths. You shouldn't do anything until you counsel with the ISUPK. We'll tell you when and what to eat. We'll tell you who to marry. We'll tell you who to have sex with and how. We'll tell you how to resolve conflicts with your wives. We'll tell you how to resolve conflicts with your kids, your brothers, your sisters, your parents, your friends, everybody. We'll tell you when and how to pray. We'll tell you how to direct your life in a way that's pleasing to the Most High God of Israel and our Black King Yahushua, a.k.a. Jesus Christ. We will be to you instead of a God. Just like the Most High told Moses in Exodus 4:16 that Aaron would be to him instead of a mouth and he would be to Aaron instead of a God, that's what we'll do for you. It is what you all need because none of you know what the fuck you are doing. I pray you understand. Shalom.
All right, Shalom, Israel. We the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Start out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. This is the Friday night Lashawan Qadash class. We break down the scriptures from a linguistics perspective. If you watching online and you seeing or hearing any issues with the audio, just let me know, Baba Kasha. Just want to make sure everything tore off for y'all. I mean, this class is extremely important. I mean, we teach it every Friday. Teach it every Friday in every zone, online or in person or whatever the case is, to suit all of your needs. Shalom, sister. I see you. Let me checking in. If you got any questions or comments, please put them in the chat. Oh, what the hell? We teach this class every Friday night because during this Lashawan Qadash class, we're doing exactly what your Christian pastors have shown time and time again that they're ill-equipped to do. I mean, most people in America, especially Black, Hispanic, and Native American, I mean, we flood the Christian church, we flood the Catholic church. I mean, with the Santa Maria and the candles and all of those different things. But your Christian pastors have shown time and time again that they are ill-equipped to teach Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth about the Bible. I mean, each one of those, whether you're in a Christian church, whether you're in Catholicism, whether you're wherever you are, when you see that image of Jesus Christ, they teach the same thing. You see that pale face image of Jesus Christ when the Bible describes him as a Black man. I mean, you see that same doctrine that God loves everybody when it shows time and time again. Not only does God not love everybody, but the man that he raised up, who the world ignorantly knows as Jesus Christ, the man that the Most High raised up, was only sent for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You go in that Christian church, you go in that Catholic church, and you see that same doctrine that Jesus somehow is God, even though Jesus is the Son of God, but he is God. But God got Mary pregnant because, Lord forbid, Mary, had sex with Joseph and had a son, just like all of us, the regular way. Lord forbid that, But Jesus is God, but God got Mary pregnant and had Jesus, so Jesus is somehow also his father. Yeah, the doctrine get real crazy when you look at it, but that's the whole problem. Where these Christian churches, they teach you some twisted doctrine that don't make sense, and that's not in the Bible at all. You look into the Bible, and you see that the things that they teach you in that Bible is not in that Bible at all. And do they step down? No. Do they admit that they're wrong and that they taught you a lie? No. They just keep on they just keep on, you know what I mean, telling you things that you want to hear. And that's why the Christian church and the Catholic church stays full, man. But here in the ISUPK, we've been teaching Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible since 1969. I mean, so that we can get the hell out of this hell. We always wonder why. I mean, why can't Black folks get it right? I mean, regardless of how kind we are, you know what I mean, to our oppressor, and how much we try to love everybody, how much we flood the Christian church, how much we flood the you know what I mean, the Catholic churches. Why can't we get it right? Why are we always at the bottom? You know what I mean? You look at the Hispanics as well, who is our brothers and our sisters. You look at our situation, and we wonder, even though we the hardest working nation on this planet Earth, you know what I mean, we built America up from the ground up. We built the railroads. You know what I mean? We labored in the you know what I mean, the fields. You know what I mean, making sure that you can get pumpkins for 25 cents for Halloween. You can get your fruits and vegetables for cheap. You know what I mean, in your households, because of the Hispanics that are working the fields. You know what I mean? We work the hardest, and we wonder why we still, you know what I mean, on the bottom. Well, we try to love everybody. We flood the Christian and Catholic churches where we taught to love everybody, and we do. Yet and still, we still on the bottom. We wonder why. It's because the things that you learn in that Christian church and that Catholic church is lies. That's what you're learning in there. But the only way for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans to get the hell out of hell is for us to learn the truth according to the Bible. And that's why we teach this class every Friday. All right. So if you got any questions or comments, you go put them in the chat. Hey, shalom, Yahweh Bashem, Yahushua Barakatah, to the brothers, shalom, Yahweh Shemalathan, Bashem Yahushua, to all the sisters. Hey, I see you, officers of Carwan. You know what I mean? Solid brother out of Dallas, Texas. You know what I mean? If you got any questions or comments as well, you already know that you more than welcome to put them in here as well. All right, make sure you got your all your learning utensils. Make sure you got your notebook, your make sure you got your notebook, your Bible with your apocrypha. Make sure you got your pen or pencil or whatever the case is, so that you can take some notes. Make sure you got your previous notes, because we are going to be going over some things. Every class, as we always do, we're going to build on what we've learned up until this point. All right. We're going to do a little bit of review. And of course, if there's anything that you've forgotten or slipped your mind or whatever the case is, I don't mind going into it. But the whole goal is to build on what you already know. You know what I mean? All right. So last week we went into Salakia. Last week we went into the pictographs. So we're going to kind of pick up from there. Add this screen as well. And while I'm doing this, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel as well. Don't forget to do that. I mean, make sure you share the class to your loved ones, your friends, share it to all your pages. I mean, tag ISUPK Killeen if you could. And hit that QR code in that top corner. And morning, noon, and night, there'll be a brother in that chat to answer all your questions and solve all your problems. All right. I mean, that's the whole point of what we do here. So hit that QR code. You can put if you missed the class or whatever the case is, because a lot of times brothers and sisters come into the school and watch, or you might come into school, you might see this video, you know what I mean, weeks or months after it went live or whatever the case is. You might be watching this. Maybe somebody else sent you this link and you watching it from, you know what I mean, where this class aired 2-3 weeks ago, 4 or 5 weeks ago, 2-3 months ago. You know what I mean? If you're watching it and we not live, you can always hit that QR code and ask all your questions in that chat, whether they biblical questions, scriptural questions, historical questions, or you know what I mean, linguistic questions. Whatever the case is, you can always put them in the chat in that QR code. And morning, noon, and night, there will be a brother in that chat. Trust and believe. All right. Let me Salakia. Let me open this up real quick. All right, so last week was going into the pictographs. Just a little bit of a review. just a little bit of a review from previous classes. But it's important that we understand these pictographs to the point where we can recognize them offhand. And it'll do two things for you. It'll, first of all, it'll help you be able to identify each character without having to go in order, like you might have Abagada Hawaza Kata Yaka Lama Nasa I, just like a kindergartner where they say A B C D E F G. You know what I mean? They sing the alphabet song, and they might not understand what they're doing or what they're saying or what each character is or what each letter is rather, but they're singing the song so that they can get the pattern down. So eventually, when they take a deeper dive into each letter and, you know what I mean, how they're drawn and whatever details that instructor, that teacher want to go into that day, they at least have a grasp on the order and the pattern. But once you start to learn and get more comfortable with the Lashawan Qadash, you want to be able to identify each character, even when it's not in order. All right. So that's what these pictographs do. They help you be able to identify these characters a little bit better without them being in order. Because when you read them, just like in English, when you're reading them, they're not going to be in order. So lucky. So lucky. Give me a second. Let's see if I can find this real quick. Oh, here we go. All right. But yeah, so these pictographs will help you do that. They'll be able to help you memorize. You know what I mean? They'll help you be able to memorize the characters as well. You know what I mean? They'll help you be able to memorize and identify each character even when they're out of order. And then the second thing that you want to understand these for is the, what's it called? The sight words that you're going to pick up. All right. So if you, so lock you. I'm trying to fix this light issue. I don't know why the camera's looking like this. But if you understand the pictographs, let me share the screen as well. So lucky. Bear with me 1 second. But if you diligent and you pay attention to what we're learning tonight as far as the pictographs, then you're going to learn some sight words. You're going to learn some sight words, and that'll make it easier to read the Lashawan Qadash as well. All right. So you don't have to try and sound out every word or work through every word or phrase that you see. Once you know the context of what we're talking about, and you'll see the word, especially if you're reading in Bible Hub, Blue Letter Bible, or whatever the case is. Especially in Bible Hub, it'll have the Hebrew, the Lashawan Qadash on the top, and then underneath it, it'll have I believe it's in blue, it'll have the English translation underneath. So if you understand the context of what you're reading, what we're talking about, like, for example, Genesis, the first chapter, or I believe it's Genesis, the second chapter, when it talks about the trees in the garden, when the Most High instructs Adam to not, eat of the trees in the garden. Just for simplicity's sake, I ain't gonna go into I ain't gonna go into the breakdown of that scripture. Of course, we know that the trees in the garden are families, but when you see the word trees, you'll know what that word, or you'll when you see that word trees, or when you see words that pop up over and over, when you see then you'll just automatically know it off the top of your head. All right. I believe tree is Itaza. All right. But once you see those words that repeat over and over and over again, then you won't have to stumble over them over and over and over again. And we'll get into them. We'll get into it, and I'll explain what I mean a little bit more in depth as we go along. But you lock in with these pictographs, then you'll start to retain certain sight words. All right. So I believe last week we went over a couple of these. We didn't go over all of them. All right. We went over a couple of them. We're going to go ahead and just do a little review on the ones that we did go over, and then we're going to continue on. So we got Abba God. Of course, if you don't know already, the Lashawan Qadash is written from right to left, as opposed to the English, which is left to right. I mean, your oppressor, as you already know, the oppressor does everything backwards. I mean, so when you read the Lashawan Qadash and see is read and written from right to left, you know what I mean? Know that the reason why English is written from left to right is because your oppressor does everything backwards. Just like the Most High gave us trees and water, you know what I mean, and the air for free. He gave us cattle for free, you know what I mean? And your oppressor wants to, you know what I mean, cut down trees and habitations and things like that to create, you know what I mean, power plants and gated communities for himself. Destroys the very resource that the Most High gave to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans and the entire world. I mean, but the Most High gave us these things for free. Your oppressor wants to destroy them and make vain things for himself. The Most High gave us, the Most High told us that a man, you know what I mean, that a man, the Most High made Eve for Adam, said that man, it's not good that man be alone, and told us to be fruitful and multiply. And your oppressor wants to push LGBTQ. You know what I mean? The Most High told us that we should only deal with, as a Black, Hispanic, and Native American, or as the 12 tribes of Israel, you should only deal with Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, or other tribes within those 12 tribes of Israel. But your oppressor wants to push for interracial marriage. I mean, all of these things, your oppressor is backwards. So when you look at your oppressor, when you look at the Lashawan Qadash, don't look at the Lashawan Qadash and be like, oh, the Lashawan Qadash is written backwards. No, your oppressor's language is backwards. What the Most High did was absolutely correct and absolutely perfect. All right, so just keep that in mind. But the way the Most High intended, the Lashawan Qadash was written from right to left. All right, written and read from right to left. All right, so that's the first thing. All right. So we're going to go through the first four real quick. Salaki. And let me see. I think I'm going to go ahead and put the link in the chat. I'm going to put the link in the chat for brothers and sisters. Now, I'm going to put this link in the chat, but just make sure you act like you got some sense. You know what I mean? I'm all for adding brothers and sisters to the stage, but if, you know what I mean, you get in here with some nonsense, or whatever the case is, it's a lock you. Then I just have to remove you from the live stream, and that's just what it's gonna have to be. All right. So if you got any sincere questions or comments or whatever the case is, then by all means, go ahead and join the chat. So like, let me see if I can find this. So like, bear with me just 1 second. All right. It's in the chat. y'all can go ahead and click that link if y'all want to join the stage, ask your questions or whatever the case is. But I mean, you have been warned. Let's keep it cordial and keep it sincere. If our brothers and sisters is not sincere, then you will have to be removed. All right. So all right. Let's go back to this. Salaki. I'm not even sharing the screen. Salaki. Share the screen. All right. So this is what we got. So like I said earlier, Lashawan Qadash is written from right to left as opposed to left to right. And this is just the phonetic pronunciation. All right. I see brothers and sisters kind of arguing over spelling. Right? Like you got Christians who call themselves Israelites. I mean, they'll argue over spelling, or who might get a little confused about how a Hebrew word is spelled. I just want to clear up that this right here is just just how the word sounds. Like even when we talk about in the biblical Hebrew workbook and textbook on page, I believe page 8, it talks about in the original Hebrew there were no vowels. It's all consonants. But you see in a phonetic spelling, you got ah, right? Which starts with an English A, which is considered a vowel, right? Ba, when you see it in the phonetic spelling here, right? You might see again that A at the end. You might see these things. I'm going to go ahead and underline them for you as well, just so you can have a visual. Oh my God. All right. Stop. Jesus Christ. What the hell is going on? Oh my God. Type of, you know what? Salaki, bear with me 1 second. But even as we going over the Hebrew, I mean, or even when you read in the biblical Hebrew workbook and textbook, you might see the phonetic spelling, like what we got on the screen, or what I'm about to put on the screen now. So the character, oh my God. Yeah. So I is spelled like that in the phonetic spelling. Right? And it has that, or what we would consider a vowel here. All right. That could confuse a lot of brothers. Even in ba, right? Ba would be like even the way it sounds, and even in its order in the Lashawan Qadash alphabet, a lot of brothers and sisters kind of related to a B in the English. But oh my God, Jesus Christ, Salakia, bear with me 1 second. Salakia. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get a a better whiteboard Apple or a large whiteboard for times like this. Let me go here. Let's go here. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and use this. This got everything we need. All right. Let me see if y'all can see this. But point is, like, okay, I'll even take the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. What is this? 8. The first 8. So we got a, ba, ga, da, ha, wa, za, ha. All right. You take those first 8, and all of those things. The one thing that all of those characters got in common is the English A in the phonetic spelling. Right. That could trip a lot of brothers and sisters up. All right. So to alleviate all of that, this character is called an A. It's called an A. All right. And Salakia. This character is called an A. That's what it's called. It's not spelled like AH. That's not how you spell A. Because no character, no word, like there's no word, or no character rather, there's no letter. That's the word I was looking for, not word. There's no character, there's no letter in the English alphabet that you spell out. Like, how do you spell A? You don't. How do you spell B? You don't spell B. How do you spell C? How do you spell D? So on and so forth. So if you just think about it practically, that's kind of what trips brothers and sisters up. Like I mean, the men above me always say, don't forget what you already know, trying to learn something new. All right. So just like in English, there's no spelling for each character, or each letter rather. There's no spelling for each character in the Hebrew. This is just how the word sounds. So the English that you see underneath each character, that's just how the word sounds. So this is what the character sounds like. Right? This is what this next character sounds like. Ba. Next character, ga. Next character, da. Ha, wa, za, ha. Right? So it's absolutely accurate and true when not we say rather, but in the biblical Hebrew workbook and textbook, I mean, which is what we teach in the ISUPK, I mean, that there are no vowels in the Lashawan Qadash alphabet. Right? So that's the first thing. So whenever you see this, just know that this is just a tool to help you. Don't take it to heart. You know what I mean? And try to compare it to English. That's another thing as well. You don't want to try to read or learn the Lashawan Qadash as if it's English, because that's gonna confuse you. Which is why brothers and sisters will see the Lashawan Qadash alphabet, or they'll see the phonetic spelling, or how the word is the written denotation of how the word is supposed to sound. They'll see that and get confused. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times you try to learn the Lashawan Qadash as if it's English, and it's not. That's the first thing you got to understand. All right. So even when you start the foreign sentences, which we'll get to here in the next couple weeks. I know we went through it a couple times in past classes, or whatever the case is. And we'll, you know what I mean, right now we kind of going back to a little bit of the basics, just to make sure brothers and sisters got the full, you know what I mean, full understanding before we move on to something a little bit more complex. But But even when you start to form sentences, you'll find out that when you find sentences, when you form sentences in English, it's not the same as how you form sentences in the Lashawan Qadash. I mean, I'll give you a real world example of, how when you learn a new language and try to form sentences in another language. You know what I mean? When you speak Spanish, you don't form sentences in the exact same way as you form sentences in English, whether you speak in Mandarin or Cantonese, or whether you speak in French or Portuguese or whatever language that you're trying to translate from English, or whatever language you're learning. If English is your first language, you're not going to form sentences the exact same way. So it's the same with the Hebrew. So again, I don't want brothers and sisters to get jammed up when you start to form sentences and you start to see like, oh, we don't form sentences the same way as in English. Again, you trying to learn Hebrew as if it's English, or in relation to or in comparison to English. A lot of times you might get yourself jammed up, especially if you're not in class. Now, there are some English examples that you can use, because we do use Hebrew the exact same way as we use any language. And I'm talking about Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Like, for example, when we, first of all, whether you Black, Hispanic, or Native American, or from the Caribbean islands, or, Brazil, or whatever language, Haiti, or whatever language that you speak, we have a different version of that language amongst ourselves. Like, the way Hispanics speak Spanish is different than the way a Spaniard speaks Spanish. The way Brazilians speak Portuguese is different than the way someone from Portugal speaks Portuguese. And you already know, if you Black, Hispanic, and Native American, the way we speak English is very different than the way our oppressor speaks English, which is why you can see, or they can see us, even though this is their language, English is their language, we can say things in a way where we only understand it, and they'll hear us speak their language, or they'll hear us say certain things in their language, and they won't even understand it, even though it's their language. If that makes sense. Right? Lord willing, that makes sense. Slack. I'm trying to fix this glitch. All right. But that just go to show you, like, if you try to speak English like an oppressor, then you're gonna get yourself jammed up. All right. So lock it. So from that aspect, like, if you speak lock it. But from that aspect, like, because the Bible is written in English, all right? But all you got to do is just understand English as a Black man, and then you'll be able to understand the Hebrew as a Black man. That's why your Christian church doesn't understand the Bible, because they see words like neighbor, they see words like brother, they see words like Gentile, and they think that means everybody. So they read the Bible and they think, oh, God must love everybody, when all of those words has context. Or I'll give you another example, easy example. In Genesis, the first chapter, when you talk about the creation, or I believe it might be the second or the third chapter, when it talks about Adam and Eve in the garden and the serpent. When we talk about when we talk about a serpent, that a serpent we could be talking about, when your oppressor is talking about a serpent, they're talking about a literal serpent, a literal snake or lizard. But when Black people say serpent or a snake, it could be talking about a literal snake or a literal lizard, or it could be talking about somebody who real sneaky. Or if I say, oh, that's my dog. That's my dog. Black people, we know that we're not talking about a canine. I mean, walks on all fours. I mean, we talking about somebody that's close to us. Now, on the other hand, if we say, oh, he a dog, that's somebody we still not talking about a canine that walks on all fours, but we also talking about the opposite of what we was talking about before. So one aspect of dog is somebody that's close to me. You know what I mean? The other aspect of a dog is somebody who you want to stay away from you, who is distant from you. You know what I mean? Somebody that's untrustworthy. Right? But depending on the context or depending on the inflection of how Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans say it, we automatically know what we're talking about. I mean, whereas the oppressor, they're going to be it's going to take them a minute to catch up. If I say, oh, that's my dog, but he a dog, they're going to be like, what? How can he be how can you say one word and both they mean the opposite of each other, but you saying the same word? They're going to be confused. And that's the reason why your oppressor is confused on what the Bible means. All right. So if you just understand English from that aspect of how we use English words, it's the exact same way of how we use Hebrew words. That's why you can see the same word for, you know what I mean, a stranger, you know what I mean? And it could, one context would be talking about our brother who just not from here. You know what I mean? Like if I move from, like we in Texas right now, if I went to Georgia, I'll be a stranger there because I'm not from there. You know what I mean? Even though it's a whole lot of Black folks down there in Georgia, and I'm gonna be surrounded by Black folks just like me, if I go to Georgia right now, I'll be a stranger there. But there's also another type of stranger where no matter where you are, whether I'm here, whether I'm in Texas, whether I'm in Georgia, whether I'm in Ohio, whether I'm in New York, you know what I mean? If I see a nation that's not Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they're always going to be a stranger. And I'm going to be a stranger among them no matter where I am. You know what I mean? I can walk right outside my house and go to, you know what I mean? I can go to a farmer's market. I give you, you know what I mean? I don't know if y'all brothers familiar with Sprouts or Randall's, but it's a lot of, you know what I mean? It's a lot of unfamiliar faces if you catching what I'm putting down. You know what I mean? It's a lot of unfamiliar faces up in there. You walk up in there, you'll feel like a stranger. You'll be a stranger because you're surrounded by other people that are not your nation. But when you look at the Hebrew, that word is used that word can be used for a stranger that's of your nation, and that word could be used for a stranger that is not of your nation. And we understand the context. I mean, that's why the Bible was written that way, because it wasn't like the Bible. The reason why we got to break down the Bible right now is because this language was stripped from us. Not only was it stripped from us and this culture was stripped from us, but we were taught something else about this language and this culture in this Bible. So now we have to wash the Christianity off of what was already ours and put back the spirit that was always in us all along. You know what I mean? But when the Bible was written, it didn't have to, you know what I mean? Like Black folks, I know a lot of Black folks say this, what's understood don't got to be explained. So when the Bible was being written, we didn't have to explain, oh, when I say serpent, I mean an untrustworthy person. We didn't have to explain that. So when the Bible was written and they said there was a serpent in the garden and the serpent beguiled Eve, you know what I mean? We know that that's talking about the things that we see today. We know that that's talking about the same exact thing that we see today. When if a brother, you know what I mean, a sneaky brother, rather, I'll say that, a sneaky, untrustworthy brother wanted to, you know what I mean, get in your head, or he wanted to try to separate you from your family, he's not going to go straight to the brother and try to separate you from your family that way. He's going to separate your family by going to your woman, and he's going to plant all sorts of nonsense in your woman's ear. And if she's a foolish and gullible woman, if she's going to eat it up, and she's going to be the center, the pawn that's used to destroy your family. And that's what the serpent did. So when that was written down in the Bible, when that was written down in the Bible, it didn't have to be explained like, oh, a serpent is in the Bible. And that's what these Christians be looking for. I mean, they read the Bible and they like, oh, where does it say the serpent is a, you know what I mean? So now that's why we have to go precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line. I mean, here a little, there a little. I mean, that's why we have to go to, what is it? Ezekiel 30. I think it's in Ezekiel. I can't remember exactly where it is. But, you know what I mean? That's why we got to go to all these different precepts to try to help, you know what I mean, our people understand what's going on in this Bible. You know what I mean? Because your culture was stripped from you. Your culture and your identity and your language was stripped from you. But again, when it was written down, it didn't have to be explained. You know, say, and then there was a serpent in the garden. This serpent was a man. It didn't have to write that because we just understood that. All right. So long story short, to bring it full circle, to understand this language, just free yourself. You know what I mean? Free yourself from Christianity. You gotta, you know what I mean, free yourself from Christianity and understand, you know what I mean, what you read it in the Hebrew like a black man. I mean, that's as simple as I can make it for you. All right. It's like, I know I was long-winded. We're going to go ahead and get right back into it. All right. But I just want to make that clear because it's a lot of things that we see in the Lashawan Qadash, and it'll be little simple things like, especially if you want to scoff. I mean, there'll be a lot of brothers and sisters, a lot of Edomites too, of course, but this ain't for them anyway. So, I mean, of course your oppressors going to scoff because when they see Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans returning to a culture that was ripped from them, of course they're going to try to convince you that this ain't your culture. I mean, but it'd be brothers and sisters that's, you know what I mean, drinking the Kool-Aid and just trying to, you know what I mean, trying to scoff at, you know what I mean, this language using your oppressor's doctrine. And it'll be so simple. It's like, come on, man. Are you not black? Are you like, you gonna come in this chat? this what kills me. Salaki, if I can sidebar for a little bit. But, you know what I mean, this is what kills me about brothers and sisters who try to say that the Lashawan Qadash, and I believe this article right here is, you know what I mean, we went over it in past classes. Good night. That's crazy. It looks like it says, posted on June 25th, 2020, published by Itharay Bathia. And it's so crazy because there's got to be a brother or sister. And it's crazy, this brother, whoever this is, this brother or sister got a Hebrew name that they published it under. But they're trying to come against the Lashawan Qadash being the holy tongue. You know what I mean? We ain't going to go into it again because we already went into this article. But I just use it for this image because this is the image. And they cut off the ISUPK, the part at the top where it says ISUPK. Or Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. But this is, oh my God, this is literally illustrating my point. Like brothers and sisters, they'll come against the Lashawan Qadash and say, oh, this can't be the holy tongue. This can't be, or they'll come up against the slang that's in the Bible. Oh, serpent ain't a man, that's a literal serpent. This, that, and the third. Or, you know what I mean, trees ain't families. That's literal trees, this, that, and the third. All the fruit wasn't, you know what I mean, you know what I mean, the culture of the other nations. It's a literal apple. And then after, you know what I mean, being keyboard warriors in our chat trying to say that everything that we teach is wrong, they're going to leave their computer and go speak slang. They're going to be like, oh, what's up, my dog? Hey, watch out for him. He a snake over there. It never ceases to amaze me, man. Where we'll denounce the slang that's in the Bible and then go speak slang, the same slang that's in the Bible. But yeah, don't forget what you already know, trying to learn something new. You know what I mean? And the reason why it's so hard for us to understand is because your oppressor stripped this from you and taught you something different. So now you got to unlearn the literal nature of your oppressor. I mean, your oppressor can't understand, allegory and metaphors and similes and alliteration. And, that's why, well, I ain't going to get into that. That's, I ain't going to. But there are particular genres of music that Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans are just better at. And when your oppressor tries to copy it, it just don't hit the same. I'll say that. Now, whatever whatever you want to fill in the blanks, that's, go wild. But Salakia, let's go ahead and now we laid the groundwork, right? We laid the groundwork on the Lashawan Qadash, right? So now once we go into these pictographs, we should be able to just focus on the pictographs and getting these sight words. Being able to look at the picture and identify it as what's in front of us. And then be able to retain the sight words as well. All right. So share this instead. Ooh. All right. So first character, ah. Right. Second character, ba. I'm sure while I was, talking, sure brothers and sisters was able to see the characters and write them down. All right. So, the first character is a lot, or is a sideways ox head, right? Right. You got your horns. So, Lucky, let me undo that. You got your, it's a sideways ox head. So you got these two portions right here. I don't know if y'all can see this on the screen. Let me confirm. But these top portions up here, those are, that's your ox, your horns of the ox, right? These will be, I guess, the ears. Then this is the face, right? This will be the face. The mouth down here. But this is a simplified version of the ox head. Now, the original pictograph was a little bit more in detail, right? Just like all of these pictographs. Like if you look at the, the Los Lunas Decalogue stone, and you look at the Dead Sea Scrolls, you look at the ruins of the Temple of Capernaum, you look at all the archaeological evidence where it's, you see the Lashawan Qadash, the temple walls, or the walls in Egypt, things like that. Anything that's anything that's a little bit more ancient, the further back you go, the more detail you'll see in the individual pictographs that we use. Now, as we got more modern, or as we, as our culture progressed in time, you'll start to see the language in the pictographs be a little bit more simplified, and that's just for practicality. Like when you're trying to write somebody a letter, or you're trying to write something, or you're trying to keep a record, it's a little bit tedious to be trying to draw a detailed ox head every single time. Draw a detail to go to the next one, all right? Or to draw a detailed floor plan of a house, which is the next one, ba. The detailed camel's hump, which is ga. Detailed door, which is da. This gets a little tedious. So to keep it simple, like, I don't know if you noticed before, but as simple as I wrote each pictograph, that's how simple, we wanted to try to make writing, just for efficiency purposes. So you'll see as history progresses, you'll see our pictographs get a little bit more simplified. But that's what you're looking for, or that's what you're looking at right here. All right, so is alap. Alap. All right. It's a cow's head. Ba is bayath. It's the floor plan of a house. Ga, gamal, Dalath. Salakia. Right? Which is door. Right? Now we're going to come back to this da because this is going to be very important for us to understand something that, I get a lot of questions on. Pretty much every time a brother, I don't know about other brothers, but it seems like every time I do a live stream for scripture breakdown or Lashawan Qadash, is some brother or sister, some Edomite or heathen, they either stop me on the street or they get in the chat and not ask a question, but they make a claim that, I'll get into it in a second, but just know that we're gonna come back to this die here in a second. So that, let me clear the board. Go ahead, clear the board real quick. All right. So I'm gonna write this da again, right? And then the, all right. So da is the laf for door, all right? So Salaki. Ha wa, just like before. Za. All right. Salaki. Salakia. All right, so da is door. Ha is for Hana. Which is behold, right? Which is where this pictographs come from. It's like a hand. What's the lock it? Let me see. It's like a hand raising or putting forth his hand, Salakia. Let me see. Salakia. Wa is a fish hook or wawa. And then za is Zion, which is a weapon. All right. Now, while we got all these characters on the screen at the same time, I just want to go over this character right here. All right. The da. Right. Because this character, not only is it for da, dalath, which is door, it also is the first character in King David's name, which is also where this signet comes from. Right. So brothers and sisters, they'll see this signet, which is, what I got on my headpiece, what I got around my neck. You see it on a lot of our headwear and on our, on our garments, things like that. Some brothers, they'll wear it on their pants, shirt, headpiece, chain, some brothers got the shield of David or the Magun Dawada on their boots. You know what I mean? I mean, sisters are having, like you see in my brothers and sisters are having in their you know what I mean, they jewelry in their ears as well. I mean, this is the signet, this is the signature or the seal of Zion. You know what I mean? The shield of David, the seal of you know what I mean, King David. All right. Now, a lot of brothers and sisters are heathen, you know what I mean, people of other nations. They'll see the signet and they'll immediately associate it with the star of Molech or the star of Remphan, or I think those are the two. You know what I mean? But what you got to understand about this shape is this is not a star. You know what I mean? This is not the Star of David, which is another thing that people mistakenly call it. You know what I mean? This is a shield or a signet. You know what I mean? This is not the Star of David. It's built off of, it's a symbol that represents King David. You know what I mean? But it's not a star. A star, if you look up, I mean, I pray I don't have to look up star for anybody. You know what I mean? But we can if we, you know what I mean? As a matter of fact, let's go ahead. Let's not do this today. It's a lock here. Let's look up the definition of a star. All right, so the earliest, I'll go ahead and let's share this real quick. All right, so first of all, when you look at this symbol, this is what you got to understand. Before you try to call it the Star of David or the Star of Remphan or the Star of Chian and or the Star of Molech, before you you know what I mean, before you read those scriptures and misunderstand them, first you got to understand what a star is. So I'll go ahead and read it for you from the dictionary. All right, and this is just the overview, but we're gonna go into the dictionary here in a second. All right. A star is a massive luminous ball of hot gas in space. All right. So first of all, stars are not even shaped like what you see in the top or the bottom right corner. You know what I mean, on the stream. That symbol that you see, that's not a ball. That is you know what I mean, that's again the signet that I wrote down on the board a second ago. But when you see a star, a literal star, what you see up in the sky, I mean, I guess the sun's down right now. It might be some stars. I don't know where you at, but it might be some stars right above your head. If you want to just look up into the sky and see what a star looks like, I implore you to do so. You know what I mean? But I'm sure, you know what I mean, brothers and sisters, we know what stars are. We know what stars are, and we know what they look like. You look up in the sky right now, the stars are going to be a massive luminous ball of hot gas. I got one for you. It ain't even gotta be nighttime. Guess what? You got a massive luminous ball of hot gas in space right now if it's daytime. You know what I mean? Guess what that is? That's the sun. And the sun, guess what the sun doesn't look like? That luminous ball of gas in space, it doesn't look like that signet that you see in that bottom right corner. It is a ball of gas. It is round. Stars are round. You know what I mean? Scriptures all over the Bible. The circle of the star or the circle of the sun, the circles of the stars. You know what I mean? To describe the stars as circles. You know what I mean? It's round, all right? In space that generate energy through nuclear fusion, appearing as a point of light in the night sky. All right, so that's a star. All right. The term also refers to other things such as five-pointed shape, you know what I mean, which is a symbol that was derived later. You know what I mean, but stars, like if a toddler or you know what I mean, a child wants to draw a star, you know what I mean, on a piece of paper, they might draw that five-pointed shape to represent a star. All right. because of the way the way light works. I pray I ain't got to break down light and stars and things like that and shapes. But a toddler might draw a star in that with the 5-point star, but that's not what a star is. All right. There's another version of star that, again, what I was talking about earlier, when we could go out into the world and we speak in slang all day. We go out into the world and we say, oh yeah, that's my dog. Oh, watch out for that dog though. Or she a dog, or he a dog. Oh, that's my dog though. Oh, what up, my dog? We understand each of those contexts each of those phrases that I just used. You understand the context in which I'm using the word dog. But then we come to the Bible and all of a sudden we get a little, we get jammed up. All right. But this is the part that, this is the part that brothers and sisters miss. And this is the crazy part, because this is something that we say often, which is why, well, I ain't gonna go into it, but and I don't mean to, I don't mean to make fun of anybody in the chat, because I understand this is a language that's been stolen from us, and we've been taught and given something totally different. So of course, when you read the Bible, it's going to take a minute to be able to wash the Christianity, off of the Bible. All right. A lot of brothers and sisters, because you see that Christian church and how, the atrocities that they commit in that Christian church, a lot of us just leave and we throw the baby out with the bathwater. We leave the Christian church and we throw the Bible out with the Christian church, even though the Christian church don't teach nothing that's in the Bible. So I understand when you read certain things in the Bible, so it's very easy to understand those things, or misunderstand those things rather, because we've been taught so many lies. But this is the part that we miss right here, that we never consider, that maybe this is the star. Maybe this is the star that we're talking about in those scriptures where it mentions Remphan and Chian. And what you'll notice in each one of those scriptures, there's two people. There's two names that's mentioned. I believe in the star of, when it talks about the star of Molech and Chi, it mentions Chi and their God, right? The star of Remphan and I believe it's Astaroth, or it mentions a star and it mentions the God, and that's where this comes in. That star that you're seeing, let me pull it up on the screen so that we not. Salaki. See if I can find it real quick. Salaki, bear with me. But the reason why you see those two names in each one of those scriptures that I just paraphrased is because it's the latter definition. It's not talking about that 5-point shape that toddlers draw. To represent a massive, and it's not talking about a massive luminous ball of hot gas in space. It's not talking about either one of those things. It's talking about a famous person, performer, or celebrity, a symbol of rank, a rating of quality, or their asterisk symbol. Okay, that not the asterisk symbol, Salakia, because that was, later, as well, like Salakia. We try to highlight this again, but this is where this comes in. Salakia. Let me just go to it. Zariah, go upstairs. Salaki, I know it's one in. Salaki, let me see. Here we go. Amos 5. I know it's one in Amos, and the other one I believe is in Acts. Bear with me 1 second. Let's go to the one in Amos. I believe this is the most popular one. I mean, brothers sometimes approach and say, brothers and sisters in the school and say, oh, that's the Star of Renfin. You know what I mean? But I believe the most popular one is the one in Amos where it talks about the Star of Molech. All right. But guess who else it mentions? All right. I'll just go ahead and pull it up on the screen. Let's start at Amos. And you know what's crazy about this verse? This whole verse is talking about idol worship, which is why if you go to Amos 5, and I believe it's verse, so I'll just go ahead and go to it, appropriate as it is. Amos 5 and I believe in verse 20. No, 21. Salakia. That's why you go a couple verses up. When it goes to verse 21, it says, I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. I mean, you might see brothers use this verse a lot when it comes to, the holiday season, when we celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween and birthdays and Valentine's Day and New Year's and things like that. Because us celebrating pagan holidays, us celebrating these holidays that have nothing to do with the Most High, that's not a new thing. But again, don't forget what you already know trying to learn something new. Brothers will get jammed up. Brothers get jammed up trying to understand this right here in the Bible. When you read verse 25 or you read verse 21, I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. A Christian, because they're in bed with your oppressor. That's what you got to understand about the Christian church. That's why you can't get no breakdowns. You can't ask no questions. You can't get no answers in that Christian church. But what you can do is put in that bucket, put in that that plate that they pass around. You know what I mean? Because they're in bed with your oppressor. So they're just you read them Amos the 5th chapter, the 21st verse, they're just gonna be like, oh, that's not talking about Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween. That's talking about some other holiday, some other feast day that they were celebrating back then. But what you got to understand is we the same people. We doing the exact same thing. The same thing that we did to anger the Most High back then in Amos the 5th chapter is the same thing that we doing right now in in 2025. Going into 2026 for the holiday season. It's the exact same thing. We celebrating these feast days that have nothing to do with the Most High. And it angers, just like it angered the Most High in Amos the 5th chapter, is the same way it angers them now. All right. So verse 25, have ye offered unto me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Israel? All right, next verse. But ye have borne the tabernacles of your Molech and Chian your images, the star of your God, which ye made to yourselves. You know what I mean? So this is the Most High. He's like, wasn't y'all just, wasn't y'all in the wilderness? Brothers was praying to the Most High when anytime, it was something, something going on, whether we ran out of food or we didn't know where we was going to get clean water from, or, there was any sickness, or, brothers and sisters was getting bit by serpents and pestilence and things like that when we was in Egypt, when we was in oppression, when we wanted Pharaoh to let us go, when Pharaoh was making our oppression rigorous, we was facing the east, we was looking for the Lord. It was like, Lord, the Most High God of Israel, save us, deliver us from this captivity. And that's the same thing we do now. We under oppression of America. And when anything happened to you, you could be in a fire. You could be in a fire and think that you're going to lose your life. The smoke building up, the flames is closing in, and then firefighter kick down kick down the rubble that's, got you pinned in and saves your life. And as that firefighter is carrying you down that ladder, you're not gonna say, "Hey, thank Jamal the firefighter." You're gonna say, "Thank God." You know what I mean? When brothers and sisters, I mean, the Lord be with them, but when brothers and sisters is crossing through the Darien Gap, trying to make it through and out of their you know what I mean, out of their oppressive countries into America, when brothers and sisters is trying to, you know what I mean, when we was, you know what I mean, black so-called African Americans, when we was on the Underground Railroad trying to make our way, you know what I mean, out of the Confederate South into the North, where it was perceived to no longer have slavery, we was praying to the Most High. But then as soon as we get out of captivity, we bear the tabernacle of Molech. We bear the tabernacle of, you know what I mean, the white Jesus that you see in every Christian church. I mean, we bear the tabernacle, you know what I mean? We in the church doing trunk or treat. I mean, whenever black people go through anything, we like, Lord, help me. You know what I mean? But whenever, you know what I mean, you get the point. But that's what this is talking about right now. But ye have borne the tabernacle. So basically, the Most High is the one that's been with us in the wilderness and in our captivities. But we have borne the tabernacles of your Molech. Molech was a god, an idol, rather, Salakia. Molech was a false god that, you know what I mean, that I believe, I gotta get my Zondervan, but Molech was an idol, right? Point being, right? That was, I believe it belonged to our captors. And we took on that god like we do anytime we in captivity. And when we in captivity, we start to become the nation that has us in captivity. We start to serve their gods. We start to follow their culture and customs and, you know what I mean, bear their images. All right. So, but ye have borne the tabernacle of your Molech and Chian your images. Right. Now, each god has an image. You know what I mean? Just like, you know, Buddha, you know what I mean? The Buddhist religion, they have Buddha as their image. You know what I mean? In the Hindu religion, you have you have Vishnu and Krishna and you know what I mean, all of their several gods. You got Kemet, you got what's his name? What's the dude's name? Can't remember his name. But you know what I mean, you got their images of their god, their representation. You know what I mean? Let's go back to the definition. Their famous person. You know what I mean? Their famous person, their celebrity, a symbol of rank, of a rating for quality. You know what I mean? Or I believe that might be talking about like Michelin stars, or like in the military, symbol of rank or rating of quality, 5 stars. Like, you know what I mean? But a famous person, performer, or celebrity, right? That's the definition that you want, right? But that's where that star comes from. It's coming from that image, right? And we know by what it says if we keep on reading. Chian your image. Every religion, every idol, every god has a star. You know what I mean? That Christian church. The star of Christianity isn't, you know what I mean, the image of Christ that's in the Bible. You know what I mean? The star of Christianity is that white man. You know what I mean? Caesar Borgia. You know what I mean? And they also made him God. That's why also in the Christian doctrine, not only do you have the white image of Jesus Christ, but Jesus Christ is also God. Because your oppressor is a vain, nasty bastard, man. And he has to paint himself as God. That's how you make a slave serve you and why you beat they back. That's how you get a slave to look at you as, you know what I mean, the number one, you know what I mean, the most important thing in the world. That's how you get them to look at you that way, as you beat they back and you rob them of everything. I mean, you make yourself God and you tell them that this is what your God looks like. All right. So the Molech and Chian, your images, the star of your God. Chian is the star of Molech. So the star of Molech isn't a symbol. It's not a ball of gas in the sky. It's this person. The star of Molech is Chin, right? Which ye made to yourselves. All right. So when you see this image right here, when you see this signet, this so-called Star of David, which people ignorantly call it, it's the shield of David, or the seal of Zion, right? And it comes from the name Dawadah, which is David in the Hebrew, right? This is what the Da looks like. It's what you would know as a triangle. If you speak, or if you you know what I mean, if you speak English or whatever you call it or whatever your language is, this is the shape that's known as a triangle, right? But it's a Da in the Hebrew. Dawadah is just King David, you know what I mean, writing his signature, just like every other, you know what I mean. You look at any brother or sister who's a celebrity or a famous person that writes down their name. Everybody who has a signature has a creative way of writing their signature. You know what I mean, see if we can find some signatures before we get out of here. Celebrity. Here we go. See if we can find some. You see, everybody, you know what I mean, everybody, when they write their signature, oh, this is some nonsense. But you see different celebrities, they have a very creative way of writing their signature. Like Walt Disney is a perfect example. I'm glad this popped up. Walt Disney, this is a staple, you know what I mean, signature that everybody knows. This is a household name. You know what I mean? Everybody watches, you know, especially if you got kids. You know what I mean? Even adults, you know what I mean? They watch Disney movies and things like that. When you see that signature pop up, you ain't even got to see this. Like a lot of times, like to advertise like they movies or they characters, they'll write the name. If you see anything written in these characters, it ain't even got nothing to do with Disney. It ain't even got to have nothing to do with Disney. If you see anything at all written in these characters, you automatically recognize Disney. You know what I mean? So that's how, you know what I mean, that's how anybody writes their signatures. And again, don't forget what you already know, trying to learn something new. That's the same thing King David did here. This is just his personalized, creative way to write his name. You know what I mean? So you got one die, and then you have an inverted die on top of it. Right? And this is just something that was simple to be able to put on a ring or a stamp. I mean, you look up a signet ring, you'll be able to see. As a matter of fact, let's look up signet ring to bring this home full circle. There we go. Signet ring pops up immediately. But if you look up signet ring, you know what I mean? It's just a ring with a symbol. Oh my God. How convenient. Signet ring. I looked up signet ring. You just saw me type it in. And guess what's on this man's finger? How convenient. So I mean, if that don't bring it home for you and help you understand, I don't know what will. You know what I mean? But it's all right there laid out for you to be able to understand. All right. That's what King David's signet, or that's a visual that's not his literal signet ring, but that's what his signet ring looked like. A signet ring is just a ring that the king would have and used to be able to stamp his seal of approval. So anytime you got a letter or a message and it had this ring on it, you know that he was whoever delivered this ring or not ring, whoever delivered this message or this letter, you know it came from the authority of the king. All right. And this is what he had on his signet ring. Right, that shield of David. All right, so I don't know how much more flat that I could lay it for you, but it comes from this right here. Abba Gada Hawaza. You know what I mean? It comes from that, the ancient Hebrew. All right. But with that, we're gonna go ahead and close it. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up right there. All right. You know what I mean? The water for all y'all brothers and sisters who tuned in. If you got any questions or comments, you could always put them in the chat. You can always and we'll get the notification as well. You know what I mean? If there's any questions or comments, we'll get the notification for it. But if not, then you can always hit that top left corner, I believe, maybe right above my head. Well, you can always hit that QR code in that top corner. And morning, noon, and night, there will be a brother in that chat to answer all your questions, to solve all your problems, whether they're biblical questions, historical questions, linguistic questions, or scriptural questions, whatever the case is. All right. With that, I'm going to give a courtesy salute to the brothers. Shalom, Yahweh Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Barakatham to all the brothers. And to the sisters, Shalom, Yahweh Shemar Latham, Bashem, Yahweh Shai.